he lives in, and he needs carers 24/7 to keep him awake.
Well, it's better than the alternative.
That's a bit like me.
Well, I
They
thought I
had
could
to
also.
paint it white when Canada made a visit there.
When you say the alternative, do you mean, Joe Biden or Michelle Obama? Because I think Michelle,
No, that would be a great
she's black and
alternative.
she's a woman, and we need someone to save the planet. Do you know?
Yes,
Could she just
I
pop
agree,
in and
but
do it, like?
she's not going to run, But
No.
it's an alternative. I won't say the other person's name. I just refer to him as 45. But number 45. But yeah, just before we get started, the White House used to be slang for the main house of a prison. For large prisons, they used to call it the White House. So when you got locked out, they sent you to the White House. Not to be confused with where the president is, but that was slang back before I think most of us were born. And I happened to find that out because there's a legend, one of our legends called John Henry, and there's evidence that John Henry may have been a real person, and they refer to him being sent to the White House, and that was the prison house, I think in West Virginia. I got to go back and refresh my memory on that. But there are two places that claim to be the birthplace of John Henry.
Right, so I'll check in our history for you, Baba, because the world is split into three. It's what was ours, what is ours, and what should have been ours.
That sounds like America.
Right, so we've given it 5 minutes, and because we've gone to every other week, we've got 7, which includes Walid. Right, so I'm going to start with Janet, if that's okay.
Yes, that's okay. I'm a little nervous about bringing this story because I only really picked it up today. I knew of it, but it's not very polished. So
well, this forum is exactly the right place to give it a go.
I know.
Okay,
I know.
So so we'll go Janet first, Donald second. Right, Baba 3. So Karen, are you telling a story tonight?
If I may.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Love you too. You go number 4, so you'll be going after Baba. Okay.
Thank you.
Right, Norman, that's you next. Okay.
Okay.
And then we'll see what time it is when he gets to me. Right. So for those who haven't been here before, what we do is I get a batting order sorted out. And then we mute ourselves. So then the teller doesn't get any background noise or anything like that. And we just go here until everybody has done what they want to do. If you've got a chance to, if you want to do something, a poem, a story, or whatever it is, I'm quite happy to sit here and listen to let you have a go at it. So we're going to go to Janet Couch from the lovely Bonny County of Staffordshire after slagging it off. I go there lots of times and it's a beautiful place. We'll go to Janet first.
Hi. Well, I've been out in Staffordshire today, and the ground is absolutely sodden. It has been nothing but rain and rain and rain. And as I was walking home, plashing through, I saw the pussy willow just coming out by a pond. And I knew of this story, or there are several stories about the pussy willow. And I came in and I started to think about it. There's a Native American story about the rabbit's tail being caught on the pussy willow branches as he went up there in the winter time to sleep. There's a Polish story, the details of which I don't know. Some little kittens playing by the riverbank fell in and were in danger of drowning, but the willow tree bent over and hauled them out. Well, neither of those stories am I going to tell. This one, I found a version of it in the, where is it? Oh, here we are. The Sacred Heart Review, a Catholic newspaper published in Boston in April 1896. And I think it's from their children's section. But it's quite a sweet story. So we'll have a go at it. There was a city, an old, old city, long, long ago and far, far away. So long ago and so far away that nobody can remember its name. But it flourished. It was flourishing until the rains came. And the rains started a shower, and then heavier, until the ground was so wet could hold no more rain, no more water. And the people, they had to move to higher ground. They paddled, they swam, they used boats, and they were unhappy at the wetness of their land. But it wasn't only the people that were unhappy at the wetness of the land. As we know, the cats do not like water. And the cats were unhappy, and the cats wondered what they too should do. And there was one old cat who thought, I know, I remember a tale told about a forest and a mountainous region. Now, if we can leave this wet valley and find the mountains and the trees, then we can save our cat community and the dry land. So all the cats left. They bounced through the mud. The kittens did not. The kittens became caked in mud. They could not move fast. They dragged themselves through the mud, and the cats could see that the kittens were struggling. What could be done? They could see a river. They could see it rising. They could see the danger to the kittens, the danger to themselves. And so they helped the kittens climb up, 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 up into the willow branches until they were safe, quite close to the treetops, snuggling into the branches where they forked into the trunk. And there they stayed. There they stayed as it rained and rained and rained. And as the waters rose and rose and rose, but they were safe above the water until the winds came. And the winds blew the water into waves, waves that held mud, thick brown mud, which coated the branches, which coated the little kittens with their fur light, their fur dark, their fur white or grey or golden, coated those little kittens until they were nothing but small brown balls clinging onto the branches. But they were safe, and they felt warm inside those brown balls, and they tucked their heads under their paws, and they slept, and they slept, and they slept as the rains continued and the mud continued to coat them until they were nothing but shells of mud. They couldn't move. It was as if they were imprisoned. They could not move. And so, trapped there, they waited and waited until the sun began to glow upon them, and the sun dried hard the mud. The kittens still could not move. The sun grew hotter, warmer, more and more pressure on the mud, until the mud began to crack. And from the cracks, we could see from below light and dark fur, white and grey and golden. greater cracks, and the kittens inside began to feel the warmth. They began to stretch. They began to push against the shells, to push against the clay. And the clay cracked. Gradually, little by little, mud fell away. And there, clinging to the branches, were the kittens. The kittens looked down. They saw no flooding. They saw the ground dry. They saw the spring ready for them. And that is very simply a children's story about why we call it Pussy Willow.
Well, Janet, that is lovely. And if that's the first time you've told it, then I can see it slipping straight into your repertoire. And you know about the 3 and the 7, so you understand all that. So okay. You're looking a bit confused. You know about the 3 and the 7.
Not quite sure what you mean.
Right. So when you tell a new story, you tell it for 3 times. And after
Oh,
the 3rd time, it's beginning to set in. Once you've told it 7 times, it's pretty much on a railroad and you pretty much got it. And it doesn't really change much after the 7th time. So
yes.
that's the 3 and the 7 it's called. Okay.
Yes, thank you. Funnily enough, that is at the back of my mind, but it's lying dormant as if it's caked. And now you've glowed onto it and it's cracked open.
Well, there you go. These things pop up. I've just seen Mike Wood. Are you still there, Mike? Are you listening, or are you gone again? Now, last I heard, Mike Wood is the reason that the World Storytelling CAF, the main reason anyway, was started and is going along. And the last I heard, he was halfway up an Atlas Mountain with about 20,000 tents, trying to keep the people from the earthquake and taking the support from up there. And it's lovely to see him. And he looked as if he was on a phone somewhere in a car. But if you're there, Mike, are you still there?
Yeah. Let me see if I can get a bit of light on the subject. Hold on, is that better?
Yeah. So where are you exactly?
I'm back in Hertfordshire, actually. But
you're back in Hertfordshire.
Yeah, we have been very. I'm definitely not the initiator of Storytelling Cafe. That's Lucy, and I think
Right.
John and Babasi and a number of others would get a claim of the share of that as well. But what I'm doing mainly at the moment is I'm the chair of a charity called the British Moroccan Society, and we've been doing huge amounts of work in the earthquake zone since the sad earthquake. So yeah, I mean, we literally. The latest thing we're doing is tents, as you say, and we took delivery of 2,000 tents. That's 8-person tents, family tents, which we're in the process of. That's shelter for 16,000 people. So yeah, that's the scale of what we're working on, and it is very very challenging, but it's also very rewarding as well, as you can imagine.
Right. Okay. So. Right. Well, I think lots of other people, including Lucy, would probably beg to differ with your definition of how it all started, but I'm not going to get into a family argument about it. Okay. If you're in Hertfordshire, I'm going to do this one now, and this mic is for you because I know you've probably been traveling around. With a bit of luck, this will bring a smile to your face. Okay. So you've heard of lots of the old folklore, the greats. There's Rob Roy McGregor and there's Robin Hood. In America, they've only got one, and his name is Donald Trump, the great folklore person of the whole of the United States. And you've just heard recently that he's going to stand for the president of the United States again. So he decided to do a visit to a local school in Florida. And so he gets there, and the headmistress of the local school goes in, and there's the kindergarten kids there. Now, the kindergarten kids in America are the ones at 4, 5, and 6. And she says, aren't we lucky? We've got a visit from the ex-president of the United States of America, Donald Trump, and he's just starting his re-election for these elections coming up. And he's come here to do a Q&A with us, the 5, 6 kindergarten class. Stand up and give him a big round of applause. Donald Trump is here, and in came the big dog. And he sat down there and he looked round, he had a big smile on his face, and he said a few things. And then he asked if there was any questions. And the little boy put his hand up and he said, "What's your name?" He said, "My name's Henry and I'm 5 years old." And he goes, "Great, what's your question?" And Henry said, "I haven't got one question, I've got three." And all Donald Trump's advisors came round and went, "Three? Well, without any prep? Well, hang on a moment." Donald said, "He's only 5. I can probably answer his questions. Leave him to me. What are your 3 questions?" He said, "Why did you pull out of the Paris Accord? It was only good people trying to make the planet a better place. What's all this rubbish, according to my grandfather, about a war between us and Mexico? We were built on immigration. And when you lost the election, like you did lose the election, what was all this you were phoning up and you're still going around saying, 'I haven't lost it, I'm still the president'?" And Donald Trump went, and just then the recess bell rang. And all the kids went, "Great, now recess in America is like half, break time." So they all rushed out and they held hands and they all skipped out and they all had the break and they all came in 20 minutes later and they all sat down and the headmistress came in and said, "Listen, isn't it nice? We've got Donald Trump. He's come here to do a Q&A with us and talk about his new campaign to be the president of the United States of America." And in came the big dog. And he sat down, he spoke a few words and he said, "Has anybody got any questions?" And a little girl put her hand up. He said, "What's your name?" She said, "My name's Susie. And I'm 6. I was 6 yesterday." And Donald Trump said, "That's really nice. Thank you very much for asking the questions. Congratulations for your birthday yesterday. What's your question?" She goes, "I haven't got 1 question. I've got 5. And Donald Trump went, all his advisors came in. He said, no, it's all right. She's 6 years old. I can probably answer the questions. What are your 5 questions? Why did we pull out of the Paris Accord? It was only good people trying to save the planet. What was all this about a war between America and Mexico? America was built on immigration. That's what my grandfather says. What's all this about you not believing that you lost the election? Everybody knows you lost it. You counted all the votes, then you tried to cheat about it. Why did we have a recess an hour early? And what have your goons done with my friend Henry? Right,
The
Mike,
American
just
is
hope it
laughing at
cheers
that.
you up a bit.
The American really liked that joke.
Right. Right, so next time you're up an Atlas Mountain and it's cold and you're hungry, just think of that punchline, Mike Wood, okay?
I will. Thank you.
Right, where's my list? Donald, you're next, mate. Okay.
Thank you. It was good. I'll have to remember that one. Hello, everybody. Well, like Janet, I'm going to put in a disclaimer and say that I've never told this story before. And it's actually a story that Duncan Williamson used to tell. But I found it in someone else's book. It's this old book here. Don't know if you can see that. It's called Tales from the Moors and Mountains by Donald A. Mackenzie. Yeah, good Scottish name, that. And it's from 1931 and it cost 7 shillings and 6pence, which is about 32.5 pence. I think this book would cost you about sort of £25 now. But anyway, I found this story and I thought, I've heard it before, but I've never told it before. It's a story about a weaver. And this weaver's name was William. Now, William the Weaver, he was brilliant. He was so good. All the clan chiefs and all the people of note they wanted him to make their tartans, make clothes for them, and he was just so good. And he wasn't that he was so good. It wasn't only he was so good. It was because he was quick. If you needed something for a big event at the weekend, and it was a Tuesday, sure enough, William would have your cloth ready on the Tuesday night or the Wednesday morning, I don't know my days of the week. They're totally different here. The Wednesday morning for the tailors to make the garment. He was just so quick. People said he was 3 times quicker than any other weaver. The shuttle on his loom would go back and forward and back and forward and back and forward so fast you would hardly see it. Now, not only was William great weaver, he was also a fantastic piper. His tunes, he was so skillful, his fingers going up and down the chanter, playing reels and hornpipes and quadrilles, and he was a wonderful piper. People wondered, how can one man be so skillful at so many things? And there was rumours, of course, that he was, he was magic. He'd been blessed by the fairies, and that was almost true, because what happened was, one night, William and his friend Angus were on their way home from market, and both of them had on their backs a skin bag full of French red wine, because it was almost Christmas, and they were planning to have a ceilidh, and they needed the wine for that. Well, as they walked by Cliff, Angus said to William, "Hey, look, there's a cliff where the Grey people live." Now, the Grey people were rumoured to be people who lived inside the cliffs, and this is in a village called Balcarden on the shores of Loch Crenan. And if you're ever in the west of Scotland and you go to Loch Crenan, go to Balcarden, and you'll see these cliffs, straight grey stone cliffs. And the rumours were people lived inside there. I wonder if they really are people living in there, said William to Angus. Well, that's what they say. They say people have they turned the corner. People have what? Said William. Look, said Angus. There's a light in the side of the cliff. And as they approached, they saw the light, and they could hear music. They could hear pipe music, and they got closer and closer. And there, on the side of the cliff, a door had opened. And they looked in, and was an old man playing the pipes, playing away, and in the middle of the floor, a group of beautiful maidens, all dancing. "Hey," said William to Angus, "let's go and have a dance." "Great idea," said Angus. And off they went, and they went in, and they danced and danced and danced, and they were having a wonderful time. And suddenly, an old woman ran up and barged into Angus, and Angus tripped and stumbled and tumbled, and he fell right out the door back on to the path. And as he got up and dusted himself off, ready to go back in, the doors closed. There was silence, and all there was a grey wall of stone. And Angus, what happened there? And he picked up a rock, and he bashed on the cliff edge. And William, what's happened, William? Where are you? Come out, William. What? He couldn't really believe. 1 minute he's dancing, the next minute he's standing at a cliff face, and his friend William's missing. And then he noticed that the sun was coming up. And he thought, wait a minute. We've only been in there for about 10 minutes. Only time for one dance. And yet the sun's coming up, and the sun was just going down. This is so confusing. He went away home. He walked back down to the village, and he told the people what happened. And people said, "Yeah, okay, yeah, come on. Why, what's the real story? That French wine you've got there, you sure you didn't sort of have some of it before you come home? And where is William? And Angus would say, "What, I told you, a door opened in the cliff and we were in, we were dancing and yeah." And then the rumours started. When William didn't show up, the rumours started that Angus had a quarrel with William. And Angus had killed William and hidden his body and then come up with this wild story. So they took him to the chief, took him to the chief of Balcarden, and the chief said, "Angus, you've always been a trustworthy man. I will give you a year and a day. Your story sounds fantastic, but I've heard more fantastic stories than that. I will give you a year and a day. And if William does not turn up within a year and a day, you will be." Well, you can imagine, for a year, Angus was worried. What we're going to do? And he would go and visit the cliff face every now and again. But it was just a grey stone cliff face. And then he thought, I wonder if I go back on the same night as I went last year, maybe the door in the cliff will open. And that's what happened. He went back that year, back in the evening, and he sat there. And the sun was going down. He just wished and wished and wished and wished for this door to be open. And then when the sun went down behind the hills, suddenly the doors opened and the light was streaming out and they could hear the music, and you looked in and there was the old man sitting, playing on his pipes, and the beautiful maidens dancing in their group, and right in the middle of them was William. Well, Angus ran in and grabbed William and said, "Come on, William, we've got to go. And William said, "Oh, just one more dance. Come on, we're hardly here." And Angus said, "No, William, we've got to go. Come on. And he grabbed onto him and he tried to pull him out. But William fought back, and Angus was very, very strong, and he managed to drag William right to the door and pushed him out the door. And as the two of them fell out of the door, the doors slammed closed again, and the music stopped. And William said to Angus, What did you do that for? We just arrived and you want to go, and now we were..." And Angus said, "William, we've not just arrived. You have been missing for a year. And if you didn't turn up by tomorrow, I was a dead man." Well, they walked back to the village. And as they walked back to the village, William felt something in his pocket. And he took out a shuttle for a loom. And he took out a chanter for a set of bagpipes. But when they got back to the village, there was a celebration that William had turned back again. And everyone apologised to Angus for assuming that he had murdered his best friend. And when they had the celebration, William thought, "I think I'll try this new chanter on my pipes." And he tried the new chanter. He was fantastic. And in the morning, when he woke up, he thought, "I think I'll try this shuttle in my loom. Maybe make a bit of cloth." And even he couldn't believe at that time how fast the shuttle went back and forward and weaving and weaving and weaving, and the quality of the cloth. This is amazing. These people, these grey people, the people who live in the hill, are fantastic people. And from that night on, William would go every single night and put out some bread and some milk at the foot of the cliff. And in the morning, it would be gone, and the pans he left it in were all cleaned and ready waiting for him. And that was to thank the grey folk who live inside the cliff for giving him his wonderful skills. Thank you.
Well, yes, I have heard Duncan tell that story before. And it's a lovely story. I've never told it myself. I think it's placed in Scotland, so I've never done it. But I have told it to other people so they can tell it, but I've never sort of told it out, if you know what I mean.
Well, you just because it's placed in Scotland, you have my permission to tell it if you want.
I might quote you tomorrow evening. We have our club tomorrow evening. I might well quote you. I might well do it, actually. Right, Baba.
Yeah.
And now after Baba is going to be Karen. And I always like a girl who likes a cat, Karen. Okay? Baba.
All right. Now, I enjoyed that story. So
Yeah.
a couple of things. Here in the States, we're celebrating Black or African American History Month. And a couple of things. A lot of people say that they gave us the shortest month in the year to celebrate it. And whoever they are didn't give us February. It was selected by the father of Negro History Week, which is now African American History Month. And his name was Carter G. Woodson. And he selected February because two of his heroes, Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln, were born in February. Now, Douglass didn't really know when his birthday was, but he selected February 20th as his birthday. And Lincoln was born on February 12th. Here in the States, we have President's Week because well, that's another story. So Negro History Week grew into African American History Month, and we celebrated in February. But I understand in the UK, Black History Month is celebrated in October, and I wish someone would share with me why that's so. Okay, but moving on with the story. This story to me is a story that's one of my favorites, and I've told it before. And I tell it because it encompasses why one should know one's history and why one should share history and memories of those who have traveled before. And I've changed the names around a little bit to honor people that I've known in my life. So this story is about a fierce hunter named Amagogo. And Amagogo was a fierce hunter. How fierce was he? Well, he was so fierce that when animals saw him coming and knew that he was hunting them, they just dropped dead. They didn't bother to try to run away, swim away, or fly away. When they knew it was Amagogo who was after them, they just dropped dead. Now, the women in the village, in the Kijiji, they would get up in the morning and would go out into the fields and they would tend to the crops and take care of the children. Ladies, don't come after me, don't hurt the messenger. That's the way it was back then, and I am just conveying historical facts. The men would go hunting, the women would tend to the fields and take care of the children. Well, Amagogo had many children, including several sons. And his youngest son was a little lad named Puli. Now, one day, Amagogo went hunting, but he didn't come back. And the days went on and on and on, but he did not come back. But every morning, the women got up, they went out to the fields and they tended to the crops and took care of the children. And the other men went out and they went hunting, but no one mentioned Amagogo. So 2 weeks went by. No, that's not right. It was a week and 7 days, or maybe it was 14 days. But anyhow, time went by and Amagogo still had not returned. And one day, the youngest son, Puli, stood up and said, "Where is my father?" And the whole Kijiji, the whole village, stopped and said, "What?" And Puli said, "Where is my father? He has been gone a long time. He has been gone for 2 weeks." And one of his brothers said, no, he's been gone 14 days. The other brother said, no, he has been gone a week and 7 days. And Puli said, "He has been gone. Where is my father?" And everybody in the village paused and said, where is Amagogo? And so one son said, "We must go find our father." And so several of the sons went looking for Amagogo. Now, one son was a fierce tracker, and he could read the smallest little indentation in the ground, the slightest bend on a leaf or a branch, and so he began to track his father's path until the trail ended. Another son had the nose of all noses, and he said, I know father's scent. And so he sniffed, and he sniffed, and he followed the faint scent, the faint musk of their father until it disappeared. Another son said, I have sight beyond sight. I will see where father has gone. And so he looked, and he looked, and he looked, and then he said, oh, I see father. Oh, no. No, 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 no. And the other son said, what? He said, no, you must follow me, we must hasten, we must hasten. And as quick as their bodies would carry them, they came to a clearing in the forest. And there on the ground were the scattered bones and remains of Amagogo. And the sons were so heartbroken. They were so sad, for now they knew why their father had not returned. One of the animals or something that he had been hunting had gotten the hunter. The hunted had become the prey. Gathering themselves together, one son said, I will reassemble father's bones. And he began to gather all the bones, and he assembled. He found the smallest little chip bone, and he assembled until they had a whole skeleton. Another son said, I will place sinew and muscles on the bones. And this he did. Another son said, I will put flesh on the sinew and muscles. And this he did. Another son said, I will put skin over the sinew, muscles, and flesh. And this he did. Another son said, but we must put blood in the body. And this he did. And there they had the perfect image of their father who looked like he was sleeping. And one son said, but I will breathe the breath of life into father's body. And this he did. And no sooner had he breathed the breath of life into their father's body, the body quaked. And Amagogo sat up, and he looked around him, and he saw the assemblage of the sons gathered around him. And he said, what are you looking at? Why are you gathered around me like that? You look like you have seen a ghost. And why am I naked? Where are my clothes? And the sons explained to him that he had been gone for 2 weeks. No, 14 days. No, father has been gone for a week and 7 days. Get your story right. He said, regardless, I am back now. We must go back to the Kijiji, back to the village and celebrate. And so on the way back, Amagogo was in the mood for some gazelle. And he looked at the gazelle looked at him, and it fell dead. And they carried the gazelle back to the Kijiji, back to the village. And when they got there, everyone saw Amagogo. They were astonished. They rejoiced. They decided to cook the gazelle and play the drums and dance. And you know, when you bring music and food together, you have a party. A party is what you go to. A party is what you are. And so the people, they ate the gazelle, they ate the fufu, they ate all types of food, and they danced and they drummed and they ate and they ate and they danced and they drummed, and they could not drum or eat or dance any longer. And everyone went to bed, went to sleep. In the morning, when everyone rose, the ladies went back out to the field to take care of the crops and tend to the children. And Amagogo went for a walk. And while he was walking, he walked through a field, and he came across a cow's tail. Now, don't ask me why the tail was laying there. That's another tale waiting to be told another day. And he picked up the cow's tail and he looked at it. And then he took some branches and he took the branch and then he weaved the cow's tail onto the branch. And he used it as he walked away. Now, some people say that he used it to ward away the flies. Some people say that later he would use the cow tail switch to discipline children who did not learn their lessons on how to behave properly. But as he used the cowtail switch, whenever he wanted to stand up and talk, he held the cowtail switch, and people learned to become quiet and to assemble peacefully while he spoke. Everyone wanted the cowtail switch because it represented so many things, including authority. And he was offered many things: cowrie shells. He was offered gold. He was offered sheep and cattle, and he was offered Oh, someone offered him new wives, but his wife did not play that. She said, no, 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 no. Finally, Amogogo said, no, the Cowtail switch is not for sale. But when it is time for me to join the ancestors, one of my sons will inherit the Cowtail switch. And so the sons began to argue amongst themselves. And one said, well, I, Track Father, I deserve the Cowtail switch. The other son said, no, 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 you could not find him. You lost the trail. And I use my nose to follow Father's scent. Yes, but you lost his scent. And I use my sight beyond sight to find him, his bones scattered in a clearing. Yes, but I reassemble the bones. No, but I put sinew and muscle. No, but I put flesh. No, but I put skin. Yes, but I breathe the life back into Father's body. And Amogogo listened to his sons argue. He said, no, what you say may be true. But when I join the ancestors, the Cowtail switch will go to Puli. To Puli, to Puli, to Puli, to Puli. He did not even come with us to find you. Why is it going to Puli? Because none of you remembered me until Puli stood up one morning and said, where is my father? And when he asked, where is my father? Suddenly you remembered me. And then you began to look for me, and all the else you said became true. When I joined the ancestors, the Cowtail switch will go to Puli. This story is one of my favorite because as long as we tell our histories and our stories, as long as we share the adventures and histories of our beloveds, of our relatives, of our heroes, of our ancestors, people can never truly die. For as long as we share stories, as long as we share adventures, people stay alive in our hearts, in our minds, and our souls. And this is why it's important to know one's history, so that one knows from whence one came, so one knows upon whose shoulders you stand to enjoy the freedoms and privileges that you have today. And this is why history is so important. For history is not the recording of facts, it is the telling of stories. Asante. And that is one of my favorite stories.
I bet it is. Actually, it's a lovely story and it's as well told. You know your Black American History Month?
Yes.
Was it African American History Month?
We call it African American History Month, Black History Month. Some of the real old people, older than me, still call it Negro History Month. But
Right.
it's
Could I-
African
could I
American
co-
History.
Could I be invited on the principle it's our fault you're all over
Be bold and repeat that.
there? Right, we're going to go to Michelle Pfeiffer's younger sister, right, who lives in Staffordshire. And I always like a girl who likes a cat. So it's the first time you've been here. I'm going to say to everybody, please mute when the tellers are on because there's a background noise. Otherwise, sometimes I do most of the time. I've got a reason if I don't. So anyway, Karen, we're going to come over to a girl from Staffordshire.
Thank you very much, and thanks so much for having me tonight. I'm very, very new to storytelling, and like Janet said earlier, very excited and a bit nervous. But this is I hope it's okay to tell a children's story. Is that okay? Can you all put yourself into children's minds? That would help me massively. And of course, for some of these stories, it's quite nice when people are unmuted and actually respond. So I don't know how that works on Zoom, but shall we try it? For the people who would like to, you don't have to, but if you fancy joining in, it would be wonderful.
Okay. Everybody unmute.
Whoever wants it, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want me unmuted.
Or me.
Oh, dear.
Don't ask us to grow up because we're just more practiced at being kids we are because we've had longer to do it. So don't worry.
Have I released the monster now? Have I? Good. That's how we like it. Wonderful. Well, it was a very special day because it was Tommy the tortoise's 4th birthday.
Ray!
It was, and I wonder, has any one of you already had their 4th birthday?
No,
A short time ago.
Just
Yeah, yeah.
about, just so you all feel how excited Tommy would have been on the day. He was jumping around in the house and would be dancing and would be singing and would be say, "I'm gonna have a party, we're gonna have a party." You can join in if you like. You're gonna have
I'm
a
gonna have a
party, we're
party,
gonna
we're
have a
gonna have a
party.
Where are the fags and the booze?
Well, I don't think that would be appropriate for Tommy the Tortoise's 4th birthday, but he had invited all his friends to his birthday, and that made him even more excited. His parents tried to calm him down a little bit. They said, Tommy, come on, calm down a bit. You get overexcited. Your friends are coming in a minute, and, just calm down a bit. And guess what Tommy did? He started dancing around and singing, "We're gonna have a party, we're gonna have a
have a
Party.
That's right. But suddenly there was a knock on the door, a very loud knock. And Tommy's mum opened the door. Out there stood his first friend, Ellie the elephant. And Ellie said,
Hooray.
"Where's Tommy? Where's Tommy?" And his mum said, "Why? Why, Tommy's right behind." Oh. Tommy was right behind her, but he got so excited and suddenly so shy that, well, I have to explain, or you probably know what a tortoise looks like, don't you? Can anybody explain to me what a tortoise looks like?
Yeah, it's a bit
looks
like a
like a turtle.
sandwich.
It's a bit like a sandwich, that's right.
Yeah,
A meat pie.
yeah, meat pie. Yeah.
A bit
Yeah.
crunchy.
When you bite on it, I think it would be, but hopefully nobody will. It obviously has got a shell, and there are 4 feet, 2 front feet, 2 back feet, a little tail sticking out in the back, and of course the head in the front. So, but what do tortoises do when they get a bit shy?
Well, they have a crack normally.
They
Well,
go inside the shell.
possibly, yeah, but they're hiding. Like we sometimes wish to hide when we're a little bit scared. So Tommy had all his legs, his head, and his little tail tucked into his shell and was hiding because he felt a bit shy suddenly. It was all a bit loud for him and all a bit much, and he got overexcited. So Ellie came in and said, "Oh, no problem. I'll get Tommy out." He says, Tommy, I came for your party and I brought you a present. Come out of your shell." But Tommy just said, "I'm not coming out." And Ellie looked a little bit puzzled and didn't really want to know what to do. So she got released when there was another knock on the door. And Ellie opened the door, and it was Theo the lion. And he shouted, Tommy, where are you? I'm here for your birthday party. Come out, I've brought a cake." And Ellie said, "Well, Theo, we have a little bit of a problem because Tommy went all shy and he says he's not coming out. And I brought a present, but he didn't want to come out." And Theo said, "Oh, no problem. We'll get him out." So he came into the house with his cake and he says, Tommy, come out. I brought you a cake for the birthday party." But Tommy just said, "I'm not coming out." So Ellie looked at Theo and Theo looked at Ellie, and they didn't really know what to do. But suddenly there was another bit quieter knock on the door. And they opened the door, and it was Ronald Duck. And Ronald Duck waddled in. In his beak, he had a birthday card. He says, "Where is Tommy? Where is Tommy? I've got a birthday card for his birthday, and then we're going to have a party." And Theo and Ellie said, "We've got a bit of a problem because he's not coming out." And Ronald said, "Oh, it's no problem. I'm going to get him out." So I've got a cat here, by the way. I'm a bit restricted yet now. Get off, little one. Good girl. So he went to Tommy and he said, Tommy, come out. I brought you a card and we're going to have a party. But Tommy just said, I'm not coming
Yeah.
out.
Oh,
And they looked at each other and they didn't really know what to do. But suddenly there was a very, very quiet knock on the door. And they opened the door and out there was Dickie Mouse. Dickie Mouse came in and said, "We're going to have a party. We're going to have a party. Where's Tommy? Where's Tommy? Where's Tommy?" And the other animals looked at each other and they said, "Dickie, we've got a problem. Tommy is here, but he says he's not coming out." And Dickie said, "Oh, that's not a problem. We'll get him out." He says, Tommy, come out. We're going to have a party. We're going to have a party.
We're going to have a party.
I brought you a song." But Tommy just said, I'm not
Not
coming out. And Dickie looked at the other animals and said, "That's not a problem. I'm going to get him out. Follow my lead." So Dickie stood in front of Tommy and said to Tommy, "Oh, Tommy, what a shame. I really wanted to sing you my song, but if you're not coming out, well, I may as well go home." So he turned around, walked towards the door and banged the door, but he banged it from the inside. And then he went behind Tommy the tortoise and hid. And he said to the other animals, "Follow my lead." So next step up Ronald Duck. And he said, "Oh, what a shame. I brought you my birthday card, but if you don't want to read it, I may as well take it home, or I may as well just leave it here, and I'm going to go home, and maybe we can celebrate another time." So he waddles to the door, he opens the door, he closes the door, but guess what he did?
Stayed inside.
He stayed
I'm
inside.
inside.
And he went all the way around, that's right, Donald, and he went all around and hid behind Dickie Mouse. And it was very quiet. And up stepped Theo the lion. He says, "Oh, I think I'm going to leave my cake on the table, but I'm going to go home because what's the point of me being here when we're not having a party? I'm going home now. Bye-bye, Tommy. Let's celebrate very soon. I'll be back at some point." And he goes to the door. He opens the door. He closes the door. But what do you think he did?
Stayed on the inside.
That's right. And what did he do there then?
round
Get
that.
He
Yeah.
went round and hid behind Ronald Duck. And last but not least, up stepped Ellie the elephant, and she said, "Oh, Tommy, I brought you a present, but, well, if you don't want to open it, well, we do it another time. I think I'm going to go home. Everybody else has left, so I might as well." So she goes to the door, opens the door, closes the door with a big bang. But what do you think she did?
You
In
were
the
out.
house.
Stayed inside.
They went round the back.
all the way around and hid behind Theo the lion. And then it went very quiet in the house. And Tommy was hiding in his shell and he got very, very sad. Can you imagine how sad he felt?
Yeah.
He thought all his friends had gone. So he did a sigh.
Oh.
And then he did an even bigger sigh. Join in. And then, because he felt so alone, he thought he had missed his own party, he did the biggest sigh in the tortoise universe. Show me how that goes. And he was very, very sad, and he thought, oh, may as well come out now because everybody has gone. So out popped his front leg, and out popped his other front leg, and out popped his back leg, and out popped his other back leg, and out popped his little tail, and all popped his head. And there he stood, and he was looking at the door where all his friends, he thought, had disappeared to. And he turned round to go to his room, but of course, behind him, they were there, and they said, "Boo!"
Boo.
Tommy was so shocked. He was startled because he didn't expect that. So he jumped up in the air,
Oh,
turned himself upside down, and fell on his back. And of course, he was so shocked that all his legs and his head and his little tail went back into the shell. And there he lay upside down inside his shell. And all the other animals said, "Oh no, Tommy, I'm so sorry. Oh, now we've spoiled it now, haven't we?" But from inside the shell, they could only hear. And out popped the first front leg, out popped the other front leg, and out popped the back leg, out popped the other back leg, and the little tail, and his head. And Ellie the elephant very carefully took the trunk and turned Tommy upside down, that he was standing on his legs again. And then they looked around and they saw Ellie's, do you remember what she brought? Ellie's present.
Present.
That's right. And they looked at Theo's cake,
Cake.
and they looked at Donald's card,
Card.
and they remembered that there was a song as well. So what they did first, they unwrapped Ellie's
Present.
present, and then they ate. Oh, it was
Okay.
gorgeous. They ate Theo's
Cake.
cake, and then they read Ronald's
Card.
Yeah.
Then they all sang together. "We're gonna have a
Have a
party, we're
party,
gonna have a
we're gonna have a
party, we're
party,
gonna have a
We're gonna have a
party."
party. We're gonna
And was
have
the-
a party.
Best 4th birthday party ever.
Right. So we do this once a fortnight now, 6 o'clock UK time for 2 hours. If you're not here in 2 weeks' time, I want a sick note. Okay.
Thank you. It's only been
Okay.
about the, I don't know, 4th time I've told a story in public, I think.
You
Oh,
did
well.
very well.
So I don't know how far it is, but Much Wenlock will be about an hour's drive for you. And we have our club tomorrow night. So we have a live club at 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, 7:30 for 8 o'clock to start, finishing about 10 in Much Wenlock, in the Pottery in Much Wenlock tomorrow night. It's the second Monday of the month.
Oh, okay.
You're very welcome to come.
Thank you.
Right, as your first time, normally there's some food around, because it's us who run Gary and everything else. It's nothing to do with tea and cakes. It's got a lot to do with wine and beer and pate and pork pies. Okay.
That's right.
You're very welcome to come if it's close enough shot. But if I put in an email address on the chat while you were telling. If you want to email me, I can put you in touch, and I'm sure Janet, she'll put hers up as well. And there's lots of storytelling clubs around Litchfield in particular, places like that. Okay.
Thank
And
you.
there's-
That's great,
There's
Mike.
one in Chester as well. Okay.
I know.
I'd join you,
I'm-
but the drive is just a little bit too long.
You need a ferry. Okay.
Okay, that kind of ferry, right, okay.
Thank you.
Right. Okay. Lovely to meet you. Right. So I'm going to go to Norman if you're going to do one, and then Sue from South Africa. Are you listening today? Or are you telling stories? Put your
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Okay.
Hearing all those
please
names,
mute.
I never attended the Much Wenlock, but I did attend the storytelling and on the first one. And I remember looking up into the sky. There's a fire there up into the moonlit sky, and off in the distance there was a man shouting Shakespeare to the moon. Do you know who I'm speaking of?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, then. That's a memorable experience. Anyways, my story comes from Thailand. I heard it from my friend Dan Yashinsky. Dan got it in a book. I think he got it from the people, and I'm forgetting their names, but I hope they will forgive me. But this is an unabashedly, no apologies political story. And you'll fit in with a bit of the couple things that people have mentioned. But I consider it a kind of an antidote to all the things that are going on, because storytelling's like that, you know. Sometimes you unpack the right stories, they come up, they knock on your door, and the story comes in. Hi there, I'm here. And this is the story I'm about to tell. Once, a long time ago, but not so far away that the story could not travel across the world to Canada, there was a hunter. A hunter who went into the forests of Thailand with his bow, his arrows, his sword, his knife, and he would shoot at the animals. He didn't hunt for food or for clothing. He just hunted for the fun of it. My apologies to those who do recreational hunting. But I did tell you this is a political story. Now, this hunter would go into the forest, and with his bow and arrow, he shot at the animals. With his sword, he slashed at the animals. He even shot at the bugs for target practice. In other words, he terrorized the forest. And so one day he went deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the forest, and he couldn't find anything. It was quiet, it was silent. All the creatures had either fled or disappeared. And so as he went deeper and deeper, he came to a clearing. And in the clearing, there was a great, huge tree. In the middle, and that great, huge tree, there was a little yellow bird. And when the hunter saw the little yellow bird saw the hunter. And the little yellow bird stared at the hunter. The little yellow bird winked at the hunter. And the little yellow bird went, as children will do around the world, the little yellow bird went, nya, 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 nya. Now this is the part where you can come in, because I need all the little yellow birds I can get. So that was our first rehearsal. But if you wish to join in, be my guest. So the hunter said, "You can't insult me. That's for children. You can't play children's games with me. I'm a big, powerful hunter, and look at my muscles." But the little yellow bird stared at the hunter once again. Little yellow bird stared at the hunter. Little yellow bird winked at the hunter, and the little yellow bird went, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah." Hunter was angry, and he said, "You can't insult me like that." And he took an arrow out. He put it in his bow, and he pulled it back. And he shot that little yellow bird right through the heart. But that's not the end of the story. For you see, when the hunter went over to retrieve his arrow, he reached down, and as soon as he touched it, the little yellow bird opened up both of his bright eyes, stared at the hunter, winked at the hunter, and went, "Nya, nya, 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 nya." Hunter was furious. He took that little yellow bird and he tore it up into 100 pieces. And he scattered those pieces all around, and he said, "Now that's the end of that little bird." And he will turn around to leave. But he heard from all around him, louder than ever, "Nya, nya, 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 nya." Well, the hunter was furious, he was angry, and he turned purple. And he ran around, and he gathered up every single piece of little yellow bird. And then he dug. He dug and dug and dug, and he buried that little yellow bird deep, deep, deep. And he said, "That's the end of that little yellow bird." But as soon as he finished saying that, he could hear very faintly, but very clearly from deep within the earth, he heard,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
a hunter turned red, purple, and screamed, and he dug up that little yellow bird. He took every piece of the little yellow bird. He chopped down the tree. He turned the tree into a big bonfire. He threw every piece of little yellow bird on top of that roaring fire, and the flames went crackle, crackle, crackle up into the sky and burned crackle, 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 crackle down to ashes. And then, just to make sure, he took the ashes and scattered them. And the ashes blew all over the trees of the forest. And he listened. That's the end of that little yellow bird. And he turned to leave, and then he stopped. And he turned around, and his eyes opened wide, for on every single twig of every single branch of every single tree, there was millions upon billions upon trillions of little
Yellow birds.
birds. And every single one of those little yellow birds stared at the hunter. And every single one of those little yellow birds winked at the hunter. And every single one of those little yellow birds at the top of its voice went, nya,
Yeah,
nya,
yeah,
nya,
yeah,
nya,
yeah, 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 yeah.
And the hunter screamed. He took his bow and he broke it over one knee. He took his arrows and he snapped them over the other knee. And he ran and he ran and he ran out of the forest. He ran into the mountains, and there at the top of a mountain, he became a vegetarian Buddhist. And to everyone who went by, who were on their journeys, he would say, be kind. Be kind to the animals. Be kind to the birds. But especially be kind to the little yellow birds. And that's that story. And there's a line that comes out that, and it's in another story, but I like to think it fits in here too. When the people speak with one voice, even a king or a great hunter must listen. Thank you.
Great story.
Right, so we're going to come to the end now, but I'm going to finish off with this, Norman, because in 1989 they had a revolution in Romania, and the Soviet dictator guy was a fellow called Chechnya, and he stood up one day and he said, "I'm going to be the president of this country. No one's until there's pears growing on the fir trees outside the park. That's what's going to happen before I pack in." And he went to bed, and in the morning, all the people had gone up to his palace. And in the middle of December, they sowed pears on the fir trees. So when he woke up in the morning, he looked down, and all the pear trees he could see from his bedroom, all the fir trees, they had pears on them. And he knew the time was up, and he didn't last 24 hours after. Right, so, okay, so Sue, I know doesn't, because she's already indicated she's not doing one. So thank you very much. We've gone back to once a fortnight. So I'm going to be here in 2 weeks' time. And so we're just going to carry on all through the summer. So I can't do this without you fellas coming and doing this and being here. And thank you all for coming. Well, I've got 3 messages somewhere on my chat. The chat is filling up all the time. Right. So thank you for being here. We'll call it for tonight. I'll see you all in a fortnight.
See you
Thank you very
soon.
much.
Again, take
Or
care.
in 2 weeks.
Yeah, in 2 weeks. And
Or 14 days.
or 1 week and 7 days. Okay. And Karen, well, Karen, email me. I've left an email address there. Email me if you need any more information on your help. Okay.
I will do.
Happy
Thank you
African
very much,
American
Mike.
History Month.
Okay. All right, mate. Okay.
Take
See you
care,
all.
everyone. See you.
Bye, everyone. Bye. Good night.
Bye. Thank you.
To be continued.
Thank you.
C out.